Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. My name is Claudia Quilitz and I will guide you through our session using supply chain dashboards to steer your operation. Let's first have a quick look at our agenda. I will start with some words about supply chain management in general, followed by the question how can you detect shortages in your supply chain network and how to deal with them. In the second part of my presentation, I will show you two of our Westernacher supply chain demos. And in the end, I will give you a short summary of what you've seen and give you some hints about defining key figures. So let's start with the supply chain management. As you can see here, a supply chain in, let's say, early 50s was pretty easy. We only had some suppliers, one or two production sites, one local distribution center, and maybe up to 3 local warehouses, and only a small set of customers. So it was pretty easy to monitor your supply chain here. Usually you knew anyhow the people who were involved in this project personally. So if a problem occurred, you could just easily call them and ask what's wrong here. And if an interruption really took place, you usually knew where the problem came from and how to solve it. Welcome to the new world. Nowadays, a supply chain looks much more complicated. So we have lots of suppliers here being able to receive products from different suppliers, with production sites who may or may not belong to your company, with warehouses who again may or may not belong to your companies, with, let's say, outsourced production steps in between, controlled by third parties. Furthermore, in terms of global delivery, you may need to swap stocks between the warehouses, and everything gets really complicated in the end. And another problem, you don't have a clear visibility on all points in your supply chain, as you just simply don't own the data. So you rely here on the data a third party is giving to you. And so it's pretty hard to gain control over your supply chain. So the big question is, how can you detect shortages in your supply chain pretty early? So here we're coming to a really important point, and that's for all reporting applications the same. You have to make sure that the right information is getting to the right person at the right time. So we have to recognize issues in a timely manner. We usually cannot wait until the data has been interfaced via multiple systems. We have to make sure that the information received is correct. That's especially a challenge when we are talking about data from third parties. So if a supplier, for example, is sending wrong information about a shipping notification or is sending the shipping documentations not in time. So that's really annoying, and we have to monitor that closely. But once we have the right data at the right time, we also have to make sure that it doesn't end up at an overworked manager who is either doing nothing or just simply forwarding the information to his staff. And of course, we have to make sure that we are measuring the right things. So if we are looking at the wrong performance indicator, we won't be able to see what's really going on here. So let's have a look at a timely horizon in which we have to take action to fix shortages. It clearly depends in which area you have to take the decisions. So later on, I'm going to show you 2 demos. One is called EWM Insights, and here we have focused us on warehouse KPIs. So here we are more on the operational real-time reporting. But I'm going to show you also a demo called Supply Chain Performance Assurance, where we'll illuminate a complete supply chain. So here we have, of course, also a huge portion of operational reporting where we really have to take a fast decision. But if you think, for example, you want to kick out a supplier and replace it to another one, we are here more on midterm reporting or even a long-term strategic decision, which not only one person will take. We have to think about different perspectives here. So we have to think about on an engineering perspective. So can we replace all parts he is delivering? We have to think about a contractual perspective, and so on. And furthermore, it also depends on the role a person takes who is looking at the data, whether he needs it more operational or more long-term strategic. So for our supply chain performance assurance, we aimed for a supply chain manager, but you could forward the detailed information also to people who are working in a different area and really steer them. And in the end, we are looking all on the same data. So in some minutes you see our demos with lots of key performance indicators and thresholds for them, coloring them from green, everything is all right, to red as a warning sign or a sign you have to take action. But the question is, how can you react probably if a threshold is exceeded? So you can build up beautiful dashboards, but the reporting project starts already earlier when defining those KPIs. So you have to define who needs to see the KPIs to take a decision. When can he take action? What are the steps to take action? So you really have to set up a process around those KPIs to help the people to find a good solution here. So especially when you think about KPIs who tend to turn to a bad value, you have to set a process around. So organize meetings, build up collaborations between the relevant business units to help the people to find the right solutions. So why did we build up those supply chain dashboards? We want our customers to start a digital transformation, to move away from digital boards into a live online control center, to move away from manual output static snapshots and start with intuitive dashboarding with lots of collaboration functionalities. So this leads us directly to the question, why did we use SAP Analytics Cloud here? There are many reasons and you will find them all here on the slides, but for us the most important reason is that you can easily pull out data and visualize it in a dashboard and use different data sources in it. So you can use, for example, EWM data sources and combine it with other ECC systems. You could use SAP BW queries and combine it with other non-SAP systems. Another big advantage is that SAC is cloud-based, hosted by SAP with a HANA database in background, so we can do really fast analytics here. So we can collect raw data and analyze and aggregate it, and we can do a drill down to line item if we want to. Furthermore, you don't have to maintain the systems and do installation or upgrades, as you would have to do on a BO server, for example. You could give also people access to the system who usually wouldn't get access to it. Or if they would get access, they would need a VPN connection, for example. Another big advantage is that you can easily scale up or scale down the system and reduce or increase the data volume. SAC is also quite intuitive, so a business user could really easily use it and build up dashboards once the data modeling is there. SAC is designed to run on really big screens, so you could use it in your warehouse control center on a really big screen, 30 big inch or bigger, or you could use your dashboards on a mobile device, for example iPhone or iPad. So enough of the theory, let's start with our demo. I would like to introduce you to our supply chain performance assurance. It's an interactively dashboard developed within SAP Analytics Cloud. It helps you to proactively manage your supply chain operations. It's a SAP-certified partner package solution that you can find in the SAP App Store. So, what are the key benefits of our supply chain performance approach? It's an example for a collaborative early warning system that indicates if there's something wrong within your supply chain. It enables you to identify issues earlier, which gives you the chance to make and implement the right decisions much faster. If you can reduce the time from issues building up to taking action, you can protect your revenues and prevent additional costs. So, to put it in a nutshell, implementing such a story creates value. The overview is the initial screen. You can find here some of the key metrics for supply chain management. We choose some of the most commonly used metrics for steering a supply chain. The metrics are categorized in 4 different functional areas. Supply chain. Here you can find the complete supply chain view for the company, the warehousing view, where you can find all the metrics that are relevant in this topic. For example, the back order rate. We will talk about this later on. Then we have the transportation view. Here you find different KPIs such as document accuracy. So are my shipping documents all right? And last but not least, the financial view. Here you find KPIs such as cash-to-cash cycle time, which means the number of days between paying for material and getting paid for the product. Cash-to-cash cycle time measures the amount of time operating capital is tied up. During that time, the cash is not available for other purposes. So a fast cash-to-cash indicates a lean and profitable supply chain. In our demo, we are operating worldwide as a distribution company. The perfect order rate per customer as one of the most important metrics is centrally displayed on a map, displaying our central hub, Dallas and Frankfurt. The perfect order measure calculates the error-free rate of each stake of an order. Are the shipping documents all right? Is the order complete and in time? We have here extensive possibilities in data exploration. For example, it's possible to zoom in the map, or we can filter on the data that we are interested in. We can filter for customers, central hubs, and countries or cities. So for example, we are only interested in media and marketplace, and only interested in Germany, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. So let's go back and filter again everything. Furthermore, there's the possibility for selecting the distance from the central hub to the customer, so it means which customer can be reached within the selected kilometer range. On the map, you can see the bluer darker stands for a good perfect order rate. We also have to cluster our customer. We do so over the bubble size. The greater the bubble is, the bigger is the order volume. So as a supply chain manager, it would be my task or challenge to analyze the light blue big bubbles. There are much more opportunities for visualized data. Below our map, we have some more KPIs sorted by their importance, from back order rate to freight cost mix. You will be immediately stuck by the back order rate. The back order KPI measures how many orders cannot be filled at the time a customer places them. So a high back order rate signifies our customers have to wait while we are attempting to fill their order. This affects the customer satisfaction in short terms and causes retention and loss of revenue in the long terms. So for example, if you order on an online shop swimwear for your vacation, you can't wait 2 weeks for it, so you will find another online shop who can deliver faster. So we monitor this KPI to identify why certain items are not in stock and how to deal with trends. Seasonal demand, for example, that may affect our performance. So this is what we are going to do now. We will be analyzing this measure. When we click on details, you can see that the back order rate is related directly to the warehousing area. We start with the total and drilling down to the product group. Here you can see that the back order rate for fast mover is quite okay, but we have a problem for seasonal products. So why that's the case, we are doing a drill down to products. And here we see that we have a problem with heaters. So maybe caused by the cold last days, the demand of heaters is far higher than expected. So the suppliers seem to have problems to satisfy our demand for heaters. So we have to talk to our supplier to find a solution for this problem immediately. At this point, I will show you the collaboration functionalities of SAC. We can start here directly a discussion. So we can start it from everywhere. It has no direct link to our story. So we can invite people, and that's what I'm going to do here. I invite my colleague Hiltrud. And now she gets invited by email and can directly join me in this discussion. My colleague is working and she answered me. But you could also directly add a comment on a visualization. And again, you could address it personally if you want to. Then the person will get an email automatically with a link of the story. And now she can answer it directly. As you can see here, she answered me directly, and so everyone knows that it's taken care of the problem. What you can do also in the discussion thread is you could add a link to a story, put in other attachment like PowerPoints or Excel files or whatever you like, and you could also plan a task. So for example, in the planning area, you can remind the people to do their cost center planning and so on. Furthermore, you could use alerting functionality so that special users will get informed by an email or by a mobile notification when a threshold for special KPI is exceeded. So the system will automatically do the communication for you and warn the users. You can find exactly who should be notified and define the layout of the notification by HTML commands. So this is how an email could look like, for example. Let's move it away again. Let's go back to our story. Additionally, we can also navigate through icons. So we have the standard navigation with all the visible pages with the major processes here, but we can also use icons to jump to hidden pages. So for example, here we could show the back order rate in a more detailed timeline. And we could add here a forecast, for example, and see how the back order rate probably will develop in the future. So let's go back. But you could also show the line items if you want to. So for example, here we have a table with all the backorder items, and here it would be also possible to jump directly to your S4 cloud system to directly analyze your back orders in your system. So let's jump back to our warehouse tab. So all the other pages are built up pretty much the same except finance. So when you look, for example, on the customer order cycle time, which measures how long it takes to deliver a customer order after the order is received, for example, in warehousing view, there's only the time from receiving an order to check and pack the order products relevant. So while in transportation view, here we can find the time for actually delivering the product. So here are the times summed up for loading truck, preparing the shipping documents, and actual delivery rate. And in the supply chain view, we find the sum of these, so split up for warehousing and transportation. So you will find here the complete time from receiving an order to really delivering this order to the customers.
Additionally, let's have a closer look on the finance view. So why do we need that here? Usually a supply chain manager wouldn't be so concerned about classic financial KPIs like revenue, margin, or profit. But if you look on the finance page closely, you will find KPIs like day sales outstanding. Which means when do you get paid from the customers for the delivered products? And that KPI is directly related to the performance of my supply chain. So if you can't deliver, you can't invoice your customer and you won't get paid in the end. And so you as a supply chain manager would immediately get problems with your CFO, though that kind of KPIs are definitely relevant for him. On the financial view, you also find information about the stock or inventory, about the freight costs, and the freight cost mix. So that's all I wanted to show you here. And let's switch now to another demo. So now I want to show you an example of operational reporting and show you quickly our EWM Insight. It's also a sub-certified partner package solution, and here the data comes directly out of your EWM system. We give our customers here real-time visibility into their warehouse health. So you can see here it's pretty similar in its structure than the supply chain performance assurance. But it's designed for another role, for example, a warehouse manager or operative manager. So the warehouse guys can see real time where they have to jump in to solve a problem. We start again with an overview tab where you can find the major KPIs in the warehouse area with the major processes like inbound and outbound. Furthermore, we have information about the stock situation and the overall efficiency. You can find here also again the thresholds. So you see immediately in the KPI where you stand. And you see it directly if it's red that you have to take an action. So when you click, for example, on the processed outbound cases, it's directly linked with the outbound page. In the outbound area, you will find, for example, one important KPI, the vehicle turnaround time, which is showing basically how long the vehicle stays in, or better in front of the warehouse, so the time difference between check-in and check-out. So you might have timelines that you got to keep. So the delivery trucks got to leave the warehouse at a special time to still reach their customer in time. And this means a lot of pressure for the picking and packing guys. So for them, it's truly a vital metric. You can see the actual value and the timeline. You can also change the type of outbound processes you are dealing with. So for example, go to vendor return and you can see all the charts are filtered automatically with your selection. So that's all I wanted to show you here. I just wanted to give you a short impression of our EWM insights. So let's get back to the presentation.
So as a short summary, let's have a closer look on the different steps when building up such a supply chain dashboard. The most important part is defining the key figures and setting up the process around them. So I highly recommend to document this process together with your KPIs before you start with dashboarding. So everyone knows directly what to see in a dashboard. In this documentation, you should find information about the calculation of the key figures, about all the relevant dimensions, and the filter criteria. So for example, which time dimension should be used? Should it be used the initial delivery date, the requested delivery date, and so on. So as a short summary, what have you seen on our dashboards? So our dashboards usually starts with an overview screen where you find the most relevant key performance indicators. So for example, the perfect order rate. Usually we are sorting them from top left to bottom right according to their importance. You could use threshold where it's needed for fast identification of problems. And furthermore, we are showing all the major processes like inbound or outbound. Each tile has a detailed view where you can find further information in a deeper level. This reduces the communication overhead because you can structure the information and dedicate each viewer to a specific role. So you can make sure here that the relevant people get access to the relevant data. In SAC, you can use a lot of collaboration functionalities, for example, the commenting stuff, so you could communicate and work directly with other people directly on the data visualization. You could set up meetings and use directly your stories via hyperlink, or you could even use a functionality in SAC called Digital Boardroom, where you can set up an agenda and underlie each agenda point with a different story or different page of a story. And you could use alert notification. So you could use mobile notification or notification by email. So you will get immediately warned if your threshold is exceeded. So this helps you to rather react fast on exceptions, and you don't have to check other systems or write emails because everything is directly in SAC. So I've come to an end of my presentation. Thank you very much. And now I'm open for questions.